So for our final speaker, we're going to continue our focus on Ghana. I have the great pleasure of introducing Keith Muller, CEO, Atlantic Lithium. Keith is a mining engineer with over 20 years operational and leadership experience across domestic and international mining sectors. He previously held roles as business leader and general manager at Alchem, where he worked on the Mount Cattlin lithium mine, and before that as operations manager and senior mining engineer at CIMEC. Keith holds a Master of Mining Engineering from the University of New South Wales and a Bachelor of Engineering from the University of Pretoria. He is a member of the Australian Institute of Mining and Metallurgy, the Board of Professional Engineers of Queensland, and the Engineering Council of South Africa. Please welcome Keith Muller.
Thank you very much, Berenice. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I come bearing great news. We've made it to the end together. Thank you very much for those that's sticking around for the final presentation, and I truly believe we've saved the best for last. I want to take you through the journey of Atlantic Lithium, and I'm going to break protocol a little bit today. I also wanted to invite into the stage, sort of halfway through our presentation, one of the key members of our JV partnership. So if I can kick off, at your leisure, please have a look at our disclaimer statement on our website together with today's presentation. So if I take you through Atlantic Lithium, we hold a deposit in Ghana in the central region, a 35 million tonne resource, JORC compliant, and a 27 million tonne reserve. We're situated in the central region about halfway between Accra and Takoradi on the national highway. As the crow flies, about 6 kilometres from the ocean, and about 111 kilometres from the deep sea port of Takoradi. We've been working this project since 2016, and we have now released our DFS in June this year that I want to talk about a little bit. We're on track to deliver Ghana's first spodumene mine, and hopefully lots will follow in our tracks. We're looking forward to not only develop our mine, but also to assist the government of Ghana to develop future lithium projects in the country. Just from a corporate snapshot perspective, when we wrote this presentation this morning, our market cap was $245 million Aussie. Since then, we've gone up almost 20%, tipping just over 300 million a little bit a while ago for some news that we released this morning, which we will go through as well. We've got a cornerstone investment from Muller, which is a South African-based miner. They've been with us since the start with our journey from iron ore explorer now to lithium producer in a very short time. We also have on our register Piedmont Lithium, who is a JV partner on the project level and helping us take this project into production. This asset is truly from a global significant asset. It will be the third largest hard rock lithium mine in Africa, following behind the Manono project in DRC of AVZ and Gulumina's, Leo Lithium's Gulumina project in Mali. So truly a significant contribution to the African continent when it comes to spodumene supply. Then the geology, you couldn't ask for better. 90% of our ore body is coarse-grained spodumene with a small portion finer-grained material. And what this means for us really simply is the bulk of our material can be processed via DMS only. That 10% that we classify as fine-grained is probably not quite fine-grained in my opinion. It's still 20 mil crystals, which can still easily be processed with DMS. But we're also looking at opportunities to find ways and avenues to beneficiate that 10% of the ore body that perhaps do not work as well in the DMS. What does this mean if you bring together this globally significant asset and great geological conditions? What it means for us from a DFS perspective, which we released in June this year, on time, as we said we will. The project's got a revenue stream of $6.6 billion over a 12-year mine life. Together with that, we'll be producing 360,000 tonnes of spodumene concentrate on average each year, and the project's NPV at 8% discount rate is $1.5 billion. Really quite astonishing figures considering the capex requirement is only $185 million. From a capex perspective, I recently read a research report by Evolution Capital, which we haven't been able to verify yet, but according to them, we will be the lowest capital intensity spodumene mine in the world once we bring this into production. So the $185 million of capex, a large portion of that is funded by our JV partner, Piedmont Lithium, who is sole funding the first $70 million towards development, and then we equally share the 50% over a $70 million contribution, which means from Atlantic side, we need about $57 million, only $57 million to bring this project into production. To that extent, what I want to do today is welcome to the stage the CEO of MIF, Edward Nananyao Koranteng, who has recently joined as a JV partner of our project. Edward, if I can please ask you to say a few words of your investment that we released this morning. Welcome, thank you. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Keith. And I think you've indeed broken protocol. You've given me 2 minutes, I believe. But I'd like to first recognize the ambassador of the Republic of Ghana to Australia, and of course, my Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, who used to be the chairman of the Minerals Income Investment Fund. And my chairman, of course, he's seated at the back, Professor Douglas Boateng, one of Africa's leading supply chain professor extraordinaires, who is also a lecturer in South Africa. We're extremely pleased to be here. This is our first time at the Africa Down Under. And considering the fact that it's our introduction, our first point of introduction was actually investing $32.9 million into Atlantic Lithium. But it was also interesting to see or hear certain pitches being made by other investors or other mining entities in Africa, which, of course, naturally becomes very much of importance to us. So just a bit about Minerals Income Investment Fund. Minerals Income Investment Fund is perhaps the only state-owned independent mineral sovereign wealth fund on the continent. We started operations in 2019, set up by an act of parliament. We started with an AUM of about $195 million in 2021. Today, as we speak, we have assets under management in excess of $1 billion, which makes us arguably the fastest growing sovereign wealth fund in the world, or one of the fastest growing sovereign wealth fund in the world within the period. By 2026, we aim to have AUM of about $6 billion. But today's news, and what I would say yesterday's agreement that we struck, which was heads of agreement with Atlantic Lithium, is a watershed moment for us. That's our first lithium investment in the world or on the continent. It's our initial investment, I have to say, in Atlantic Lithium. I think Keith has more or less given some broad lines on the prospect of Atlantic Lithium, and we are very excited to be part of the journey, extremely excited to be a partner. We are thinking long-term, and I must re-emphasize that this is just the initial investment that we intend to make in Atlantic. We intend to look at the prospects, Atlantic's prospects worldwide going forward, definitely. And again, I'd like to assure investors into Ghana that we are just not what our minister mentioned, but MIF presents a de-risking mechanism for investors. So it's not just your money coming in. We are prepared to partner with you. We are prepared to go into the projects from exploration right down to development with you. We are prepared to get in on commercial terms, irrespective of what the fiscal regime may be, because we are purely commercial in outlook. We are purely independent, irrespective of the fact that we are state-owned. So we'd like to have a conversation with you, especially for those who intend to invest on the continent, in Ghana especially. But I hope that the good news of the Atlantic will be beamed all over the world, again projecting Ghana as a destination of choice when it comes to investment in the mineral sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edward. Well, if I continue on a pathway in our journey to talk through how it's going to look for us to go into production, like I mentioned, we delivered our DFS in June this year. So the next steps for us is really what we've done is we've decoupled the project development into two phases. The first phase is really associated with bringing DMS product online, and really that as well is in two steps. First, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in a modular DMS unit, and what the intention of that is twofold. Well, firstly, we want to train our local national staff in Ghana. Mineral processing from a DMS perspective is well known around the world, but at the moment there's no DMS capability in Ghana. So what we want to do is we want to bring these units in, train the national staff, and be ready to operate a larger scale industrial plant once that comes online. Secondly, what these modular units do for us, they also generate early revenue. So it's a $15 million investment to bring these, it's 1.5, to bring these units into production, and they've got a very short payback period, about 3.9 months to pay back these units. We're not going to run them long term, we're going to run them until we bring our main DMS online, and our main DMS as a standalone is got a payback of 9 months. So when you look at the total project in its totality, it's about a payback period of 19 months, considering these two projects combined. We're looking to break ground in September next year. So I think today, with the news of the investment of MIF, that's really a de-risking activity for us. We've been saying we'll have our mining lease this quarter, and we still stand by that. We're expecting to have our mining lease this quarter, which really initiates the process for further EPA permitting. So there's about a 9 to 12 month period once we receive our ML to go through the EPA permitting process, and we're looking to break ground as early as September next year. We think the modular units can be in production in the first quarter in 2025. Exporting concentrate, unlike many of our competitors in the industry that's banking on the DSO market. Two reasons why we really don't want to bank on the DSO market. One, we don't think it adds maximum value to the product in country. And secondly, we believe that there's going to be a depletion or a suppression in the low-grade market long term. And we're not convinced that there's going to be a market for that. So hence why we want to look at modular DMS units. Then if I talk about these units just a little bit more, just to explain what they do, they come together like a Meccano set, if you will. We ship them out of South Africa, come to site, put them together in about 9 weeks, and for that initial 9 months that we're going to run them, we're estimating they'll generate just over $170 million in revenue at quite healthy margins as well. Together with this, in parallel, as we are running these modular units for early revenue generation, we will also be constructing our main processing plant. It's about a 14-month build on our main processing plant. So starting that in September 2024. So we're looking to see first concentrate come out of our main DMS in January 2026. Then just in terms of offtake, there's very few spodumene mines that's got unencumbered offtake available to the market. Our JV partner, Piedmont, has access to 50% of our offtake. That's going to go to their Tennessee operation and their hydroxide facility. They also supply to Tesla and LG Chem in the interim. The other 50% is currently unencumbered. Last week, we engaged a large investment bank to run a process for us to put some of this material into the market. And what our intention with that is really to monetize this. The offtake by itself has got a lot of value. So we're looking to fund that shortfall in capex of just over $50 million, one with the recent investment from MIF, but equally also looking at monetizing this offtake in the form of our preference as a prepayment, second to that as a debt facility from potential offtake partners. We're looking to release that to the market and finish this process late this year, maybe early next year. We're in no rush. We want to take our time. We want to select the right partner. We want to select someone that can work with us into the future. And as Edward mentioned, we want to look at other opportunities around the world. So we want to make sure we partner with the right offtake. Then if I can close with this, just talk a little bit about our exploration potential. To date, we've only drilled 3% of our tenement holding in the current project area. The whole area is prospective in our opinion. We haven't drilled a single hole in a radius of 5 kilometers around the operating asset. So what we really wanted to do, we didn't take a scattered gun approach to this. We very systematically worked on the outcrops, doing auger drilling, doing soil sampling, geochemistry, and other geophysics to identify targets and very methodically work out from the center where our exploration team found the first outcrop. So we see a lot of potential going forward from an exploration perspective. I see the time is up, so I thank you all for your time this afternoon. Thank you very much.